Sources have confirmed to ESPN that the Pacers have called the Cavaliers about a possible trade for Paul George, but they aren't the only team interested. The Sporting News is reporting that the Clippers are also interested in a possible sign-and-trade for PG-13, and we already know he's made it very clear he prefers to be a Laker. Of course, his hometown is Los Angeles. Stephen A., which team would be the best fit for George?
Me, personally, I believe it would be the Los Angeles Clippers. I don't think there's any question in my mind. I think he'd be better suited for the Los Angeles Clippers. Him with CP3, with DeAndre Jordan, it changes the complexion of that franchise. What he's able to do. If you look at the Clippers' weak link, it's been the 3 spot. I mean, you talk about Luke Mbamute as your starting small forward who can't score worth a lick. He can defend. There's no question about that, but he can't score. And so consistently you find yourself playing 4-on-5 basketball, which puts you in the pick and roll situations, pick and pop situations. And who are you going to do that with? An undersized J.J. Redick? That's not going to cut it. And so as a result, it vastly limited the capabilities of the Los Angeles Clippers. Paul George changes all of that because you got a legit center in DeAndre Jordan. And DeAndre Jordan, were it not for his free throw shooting, he would be the ideal big man in the game because he can defend, he can rebound, he can block shots, and more importantly, he runs up and down the floor for those alley-oops. So because of that, he doesn't slow you down into a half-court offense that sets you up to fail against formidable defenses. Then you've got CP3 who can do what he does. I believe their 2 biggest needs are the small forward and a big guard. Paul George actually fills both. Now, he can't do both by himself, but he can play either or, which is a huge, huge help. I think because of that reality and because of the chance, even though he wants to be a Laker, and he's made sure it's very, very clear, and he'd be a huge, huge chance because he's Paul George, and you have an opportunity to compete for a championship with him, and you don't know what the Lakers are going to be able to do. The one place that has a chance of changing his mind, and it's slim to none, would be the Clippers because they're right there in L.A.
Well, first of all, DeAndre Jordan, not just free throws. To be ideal, he'd have to shoot from the outside, too, like a Karl Anthony Towns or an Embiid or a Porzingis, these bigs who can do that. Knock wood, DeAndre stayed healthy. Hopefully that continues, but all those other things, you're right. He's turned himself into an excellent player. The answer, however, is Paul George is best suited for the Cavs. Because the Clippers get Paul George and they have to give up Blake Griffin, they still ain't got nothing for the Warriors. Zip. They will get bounced by the Warriors again. We all know it. In fact, they probably get bounced by the Spurs when all is said and done, but who knows? Doesn't matter. They're not getting out of the West. But the Cavs? Still, you'd favor the Warriors over the Cavs. But if you have to give up Kevin Love, you get rid of some of that offensive rebounding, outside shooting, and outlet passing, that's valuable for them. But you replace it with Paul George, a two-way player of that caliber, and you put him with LeBron James. The history of this league hasn't changed that much. Oh, it's point guards and stretch fours now. No, it's not. It's still two-way wing players that dominate: LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard. Those are actually the 3 best players in the game. The combinations in recent years that have been dominant have been that two-way wing player with a big. Forget about power forward or center. A guy who can guard the basket, play in the post with his back to the basket, do all those things that a traditional big Tim Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal, and all these guys. You either have the two-way wing player in the big or 2 two-way wing players. Pippen and Jordan, Wade and LeBron. LeBron and Kyrie in a way, although he's not really two-way. He doesn't play defense. Paul George is. More than that, though, Stephen A., the reason the Cavs are able to decimate the East in the playoffs in a way that they are not able to do it in the regular season, and then actually even compete with the Warriors, because let's face it, they were 1 or 2 bad possessions away from forcing it 6 games against this Warriors team. No one else could get 1 single win against them, is because they have players who in high leverage moments can turn it on, and they're simply better than everyone on the other side. LeBron and Kyrie can do that. When push comes to shove, when fit hits the shan, these 2 guys can be better than your best 2 guys. That's why the Warriors went out and got Kevin Durant. Really, like, what did that do? It negated some of that. If you have Paul George with those 2 guys, you have 3 guys you have the horses. They're simply better than your guys. And when you need them to the most, defensively, even Kyrie, though he doesn't often do it, offensively, high leverage moments, picking, instead of, picking mismatches, just give the ball to those guys, run it through them. LeBron, Paul George, Kyrie, give anyone a run for their money.
Well, I wasn't disagreeing with that because that's why we mentioned the Cavs and Paul George earlier. What I was saying was long term.
Yeah, 'cause
if
that
you're
would just be
thinking
a
about
year.
this, Paul George with the Clippers, with Jerry West now there with Doc Rivers, and thinking about some of the other parts, supplementary parts that you put around that nucleus of CP3, Paul George, and DeAndre Jordan. I don't think that's bad at all. But nothing's better. Nothing's a better option outside of Golden State than Cleveland for anybody worth having right now.
Well, he went to Golden State, he'd be killed too. This would be a response to what Golden State just did. But even if Paul George is a one-year rental from his point of view, fit with the Cavs, give him a shot against Golden State, and then next year go where you want anyway. He could still wind up on the Clippers if he wanted the following year.
They can both go to LA together next year, just get 1 year under their belt.